Welcome to another demo. This time we are going to steal Wi-Fi passwords from a Windows computer. Isn't that cool? So this is our Windows computer, our target that we will be attacking, and it knows one or two Wi-Fi networks it has previously connected to, and so the computer has saved the passwords to those networks. And we are going to use a bad USB to steal those passwords and send them to us, to the attacker. This is the script I'm using. I will, of course, leave everything you need to know in the description. But before we go over the script, I want to give you a little explanation on how I came up with this script, because I didn't write this myself. I based it on someone else's work. And I think that kind of shows how to make bad USB scripts. First, you think of the problem. I wanted to show you something cool to do with a bad USB. And what is cooler than stealing Wi-Fi passwords? So the thing is, I don't know how to steal Wi-Fi passwords from a Windows computer out of my head. And I could spend a lot of time researching this, but instead I just had a look online if someone already made something like this. And turns out, yeah, people have. I couldn't find a good Ducky script or bad USB script, but I did find a sketch for the DigiSpark here. And this script is actually featured or explained in this tutorial that you can find on YouTube. But what I like about it is that it's easy to understand once you see what commands it's entering into the Windows terminal. Of course, I'm not using a DigiSpark here. So what I did is I translated this code here into bad USB script. If you have a look at the DigiSpark code, all it does is print, which is the same as saying string and then pressing enter. Delay is delay. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all it does, right? So we just have to translate everything into bad USB script. Oh, here it sends a keystroke. This is actually GUI-R, the famous key combination we use all the time to open the Windows Run window. So yeah, this is the bad USB script I then came up with. I also changed some things because I found that it didn't really work on my computer. So, you always have to test and maybe adjust things. It really depends on the target. And so, yeah, testing is really, really important. So let's go over it step by step. I'm using a target computer with a German keyboard layout, so I'm setting the keyboard layout to German by using locale.de. I'm also waiting 3 seconds at the beginning. If you want to have the script run as fast as possible, then just leave that out. I'm just doing it because I'm recording here and this makes my life a lot easier, switching cameras and stuff. Then I'm also setting up a default delay of 200. This makes sure that the computer has enough time to process each command that we are sending it. You can, of course, lower this number. But yeah, I'm not in a hurry running the script. So 200 milliseconds per line, that's a good amount of delay for me. And then, yeah, we are opening the run window of Windows by pressing the Windows key and R key at the same time. Then we are entering PowerShell and pressing enter. So it actually opens the PowerShell window. Then we use this command to enter the temp directory. And that's where we run this command, which will export the Wi-Fi network profiles we have saved on the computer into a file. This command then searches that file for key material and exports that into another file. Now, this Wi-Fi pass file is what we then send off to a server or a website as a HTTP post request. And once we've done that, we delete all the files we've created and close the terminal. That's pretty much it. So in terms of exporting or getting the Wi-Fi passwords, I'm not an expert on that. If you are familiar with Windows and PowerShell, then maybe you know more about this than I do. But these commands work for me right now. Maybe in the future this could change. I don't know. So it's always a good idea to test this or maybe have a look online if you can find a better script. But what I find really interesting about this script is that to get the Wi-Fi passwords we extracted, to get them to the attacker is done by sending a HTTP post request. And that's interesting. Now you could send an email, you could upload the file to a FTP server, maybe you could open a socket connection. If you have the right bad USB, then you could take the file and save it onto the bad USB itself if it has that mass storage functionality. But here it's using a post request. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh no, I don't want to set up a server. That's too much work. But they are using this webhook.site that you can use too. It's really great. So you go to that website, you have to open it yourself and make sure to keep that tab open, because on the left here, that's where our requests, our Wi-Fi passwords will come in. So open this website and copy the URL you are getting. Don't use the one I'm using in this video. This is just mine. You need to go to this website and get your own. Otherwise, you won't receive the passwords. So yeah, copy them. And then in the script, paste it in here, right? Replace that. And now you have a script that will send the key material of the Wi-Fi profiles to this website. And this website will let you know when they come in. Really great. You don't need to set up a server or anything. You don't even need to send it via email, where it might be blocked or like put into the spam folder or automatically deleted or whatnot. And because this is sent as a HTTP post request, my guess is that most systems, like firewalls, antivirus system, whatever is running on the computer or the network, won't block this connection. It's just a outgoing HTTP request. That's pretty standard. Like, that's what you do when you browse the web. So pretty cool. Why don't we just run it and see what happens? That's it. Let's go back to our computer and open the webhook site. And here it is on the left. You can see it just came in. And here in the raw content, you can see that this is the Wi-Fi name, the network name. Don't hex me. And this is the password. It's a great password, I know. And because this laptop knows not just one, but two Wi-Fi networks, we also have another one here, spacehuhn Wi-Fi. And the password is super secret key 123. So as you can see, you can easily steal the clear text Wi-Fi passwords from a computer. And that in a couple of seconds, just by plugging in a bad USB. Now, of course, the computer has to be unlocked, like all bad USB attacks. But yeah, isn't that cool? I really like this attack because it's so easy. And I didn't know about this webhook.site before, but I think it's really, really convenient for this purpose. For testing, that's great. So yeah, of course, you will find the script down below, as well as the links to the YouTube tutorial, the original DigiSpark sketch, and the webhook site. It's weird that you can steal Wi-Fi passwords so easily. You would think that maybe Windows could save them in a more secure way, or don't allow you to export them so easily. But well, that's where we are. At least right now, when I'm recording this, maybe in the future this will be fixed. But yeah, at least it makes for a great tutorial.